your reaction to this company being the world's first $5 trillion market value company?
Well, it really shows us this representation of this huge sea change in technology, which is artificial intelligence. And certainly it's the leader, it's way ahead, but honestly, it's like a tsunami. There's one big wave, and then there's wave after wave after wave. And we really don't know if we're even near the peak of artificial intelligence really being incorporated in all the different industries. So this is a qualitative change that we've never seen in our investment careers.
So, Margie, just to focus in on NVIDIA at this moment, do you add to that stake that you currently have? We've still got 73 buys out there from the analyst community, only one sell, even at a $5 trillion valuation.
Yeah. Well, it's very hard to be negative on NVIDIA unless you see some negative development in the company. And just because the stock has gone up, and actually looking at my portfolio, I actually have some stocks that have actually outperformed NVIDIA this year, gone up even more. So I would say that as long as the growth path looks pretty good for NVIDIA, that it would be a worthwhile add.
I mean, look at Micron, for example, up 150% so far this year. Some of the ulteriors that have really managed to be swept up in what's needed in data centers and compute more broadly. Where hasn't the market seen enough value yet?
Well, I think really all the oxygen is being sucked out of other areas of the market and going into artificial intelligence, data storage, data centers, all the rest of that. And I think we're still continuing on that trail. All those companies have high cash flow to fund these activities. There's no sign that they're losing their enthusiasm to make investments to keep a leading edge in NVIDIA. And really, if you look at some of those stocks, like Micron's a great example, if the worst thing you can say about it is the price has gone up a lot, that doesn't mean you ought to sell it here. So I think we're still somewhere in the middle of this huge wave of changing the whole economy, changing technology, and it's really too soon to say stocks are too high, I'm going to bail out.
On that note, Margie, I spoke to Jensen Huang yesterday afternoon, and I had to ask about his view on a market bubble. Let's listen to what he said.
I don't believe we're in an AI bubble, and the reason for that is we're going through a natural transition from an old computing model based on general purpose computing to accelerated computing. We also know that AI has now become good enough because of reasoning capability, research capabilities, its ability to think. It's now generating tokens and now generating intelligence that's worth paying for.
Jensen's argument is the same it has been for the last 2 years. We're in the early innings of a shift from general purpose computing to accelerated computing. But the different bit now is he's saying AI is worth paying for. I think that he's saying there's real revenues on the software side. Is that the evidence here? Is that the argument?
Well, I think it's really not so much we haven't actually seen revenue pour in, but I think it's a change that companies are making because they see that this is what they need for their future. And I think it's totally different, as he was making the point, from, say, the internet bubble that people often make a comparison with. The internet bubble was about deregulation of the telecom industry, and it was about moving data and voice faster through pipes. It wasn't a material change. This is artificial intelligence. All the new chips and so forth are really a fundamental change in how we perform all kinds of tasks related in our economy. So, and I think because it's happened so fast, it's really only been, say, 1 year, 2 years. It's hard to adjust to say we're looking on the verge of a whole new world in how we approach technology. So I think that's why people are a little discombobulated seeing how fast these stocks have taken off. But they all have the cash flow to finance this growth. So it isn't as if they're artificially borrowing money to make investments that look pie in the sky.
Margie.
This looks the beginning of something. Yes.
Margie, you mentioned cash flows. What's your position on the circular financing concern about NVIDIA?
Well, I think those partnerships where they've made equity acquisitions in some of these companies is just a business partnership. It seems perfectly reasonable when they're striking up a deal between two companies. And again, coming back to the companies like NVIDIA, they aren't borrowing money to finance this activity. They really have enormous cash flow that they're using and deciding how to best allocate that. So I think that companies, particularly the large companies, have an idea of where they can best get the long-term returns on their cash flow, and that's what we're seeing.